हरि करना।
Now let's look into the so we have seen the p-value. So now let's look into the level of no alpha, that significance level. So we have seen statistical significance. After that we have seen the p-value. P-value is often used as the threshold for determining statistical significance. A p-value less than or equal to a pre-specified significance level. If a p-value is less than or equals to 0.05, then it's said to be considered to be statistically significant, indicating that the observed effect is unlikely to have occurred by chance. Now, alpha, the significance level. So, alpha is the significance level, which is the threshold used for determining the statistical significance in hypothesis testing. So without this alpha, you can't decide. You need, if you want to determine the statistical significance, you need to have two parameters. One is the p-value and second one is alpha. So it represents the maximum probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually true. So the alpha level is typically set before conducting the test, and it is actually set at 0.05 or 0.01. Either one will take up 0.05 or 0.01. A significance level of 0.05 means that there is a 5% of chance of rejecting that null hypothesis when it is actually true. In other words, if the p-value is less than or equals to 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis and conclude that there is a statistically significant effect or difference. So again, I'm repeating, when we say significance level of 0.05 means that there is a 5% chance of rejecting the null hypothesis. Only 5% chance of the rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually true. So in other words, obviously, if the that is the reason, if the p-value is less than or equals to 0.05, outrightly we reject the null hypothesis and conclude that there is a statistically significant effect or difference. So the choice of alpha level depends on the context of the research question. The consequences of making a type 1 error. What is type 1 error? Type 1 error is nothing but rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually true. So, and the desired balance between type 1 and type 2 errors. Type 2 error is nothing but failing to reject or confirming the null hypothesis when it is actually false. So these are called type 1 and type 2 errors. We will be looking into the type 1 and type 2 error in detail also. No need to worry. So now it's important to note that the alpha is not a fixed value and can vary depending on the research question and context. So researchers should carefully consider the implications of their chosen alpha level and the trade-offs between type 1 and type 2 errors in order to make robust and accurate conclusions from this statistical analysis. So if you see here, we got the p-value of 0.016. That's what the p-value. Then the level of the significance level that we have chosen is 0.05. Obviously, you know that significance level is nothing but the 5% of 5% chance of rejecting the null hypothesis. When we say significance level 5%, that means we have a 5% chance of rejecting the null hypothesis. So now I have 5% of chances of rejecting the null hypothesis. Is nothing but a threshold. It's just a simple threshold. Now you got the probability value, that's 0.016. When your probability value is lesser than the threshold value, that means you have to reject the null hypothesis. So that's what we have said here. We have rejected the null hypothesis and we are saying that the observed effect is statistically significant. It's not just because of randomness or random chance. The observed effect is statistically significant. That's how, by using a p-value and significance level alpha, we decide the statistical significance.